You're now listening to Type 88 on Makerpark Radio with Dave Noodles. Don't stop dreaming.
Yeah. It's a Wu-Tang Wednesday up in Shaolin. It's a little snowy out there, but it's a long time coming. It's been hot and cold all winter. Been a crazy month. I'm losing my voice, even though I wasn't singing. I was DJing. It's been a crazy month, but it's good. It's a lot of good things in the works. I won't hype anyone up until the moment of truth and it's real. But speaking of real, we got a real person, real human, real artist in the building. What'd it do?
What's going on?
So we got the one and only Debbie Roxx in the building. What are you up to?
Lately I'm just working on creating, just trying to do more art-related things, trying to push and just develop new styles, work on some clothing here and there, but just always trying to create. Just if it's from photography to paintings to clothing, I'm trying to just dive into it all.
Yeah, every time I turn on the gram, you're cooking.
Yeah, that's the goal.
How do you even find like the motivation to do all this?
I already have like the mentality of like always wanting to just get my hands dirty, get my hands into things. That's why I kind of like the idea of just creating myself. I don't really like going to people to get things done for me.
Gotcha.
Because the process of creating is always enjoyable. Music, movies, shows, like all of those little things, just different experiences, they inspire the things that I create. So it just reflects the times of where I'm at or people I encounter and things.
It's really dope. So like, you know, we're here today, but could we like bring it back to when you like even learned about art, or like the first time someone kind of gave you a artistic instrument? Do you remember like how you even like picked up a marker or how you picked up a pencil?
It was honestly all a self-taught thing.
Okay.
Because growing up, I didn't have anyone that was like an artist in my family that would say, hey, you know, here's a sketchbook, here's a pencil, here's some markers, do something. It was just something I always did, and I got in trouble for it in school.
Got it.
Because I would actually just draw on my books instead of taking notes. And it became a natural thing, like even going off to college, it became how I actually retained things was drawing and like while taking notes. So it started to help me in the end, because now I can make money off of that same exact thing.
So what school did you go to?
I went to College of Staten Island. I'm currently still there.
Is that where you picked up art, or did you
No,
pick it up before that?
I never took any art classes.
I mean, just drawing on the books and like learning, or was it like earlier on?
This is back from like elementary school when I was like in PS57,
Nice.
PS21, yeah. So this is like probably since I was like 6.
Since like day 10.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get a little closer.
Okay.
So PS57, that's in Staten Island?
Yeah, that's in Park Hill.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So here you are, you know, you're drawing in your notebooks. You know, you're getting your work done. Because clearly you finished school. You said you went to CSI, right?
Yeah.
When was like the first time maybe someone actually noticed that you were creating stuff? Could you...
Painting wise,
did like the teacher see you like, what are you doing? Or I see what you're doing.
It, but I actually did. I drew like random characters. Like I never started drawing like actual pieces till maybe after high school. So I only started taking painting and all that serious probably about 5 years ago.
Gotcha.
But before then, it was just kind of like I didn't think it would be anything I would see myself doing for the rest of my life.
That's crazy. So 5 years ago, you really started putting yourself out there. Was it on social media? Were you at shows? How did you, because I know, you know, we know a lot of people in the game, but for someone who maybe is just like kind of on the outskirts and wondering like, oh, I make stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? Like, how did you even find a place to showcase your stuff?
I definitely utilized a lot of social media.
Got it.
But at the same time, I used to make like stickers of like my artwork and kind of just slap them all over Staten Island.
Okay.
Everywhere I would go, I'd slap them and like put my social media so they could see like who did it. I would see people taking pictures of it on the bus. They wouldn't know it was me, and I'll just be sitting at the back of the bus, like on my phone. And so it started to circulate. So as people started to see like who it was, people started to put a face to the name, which was actually really dope.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What was that first sticker?
It was like an alien.
What did it look like? Okay.
Yeah, some weird alien that I would always draw, and like a teddy bear. I'd slap it on bus stops when I was waiting for the bus. I'd put it on the bus. And even the bus drivers, they would never be like, oh, don't do that. They'd just kind of let me slide. Okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, social media, it could really bring out the best or the worst in people.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
So you're putting it on social media.
Yeah. So I kind of was just, like, Instagram wasn't really popular, I would say, as it is now. Like, a lot of people used it, but not the way everyone is using it today. Like, now it's being a lot used more by creatives as a way to, like, display and showcase their work. But before, it was kind of just, like, a personal thing. And that's what I used it for at first. And then I realized, like, I could actually use this to show my artwork. And that's where I started generating a lot of, like, love and attention was from Instagram. That's how I started getting booked for shows on Staten Island, Brooklyn, and City, and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Instagram. So much so people ask me to do it for them. And it's really true, you know. Sometimes you could overthink it, like, oh, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to post. But, like, what you just did or what you're about to do, you know?
Yeah.
So here you are, you're posting. What was your first show that you kind of got into, that you showcased your stuff?
I think one of the first shows was with this group. They're called Color Scenes. They're based out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So they kind of like to shine light on, like, African American and Hispanic creatives that don't maybe get a chance to showcase their work. They kind of create that atmosphere for them. So they actually contacted me, and I was like shook. I didn't even know if I wanted to do it, but it was in Harlem, in a brownstone and it was so dope. Like, the energy, the atmosphere was just great, and I was like, wow, this is something I can actually see myself doing.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
How'd that go? Did anyone bring home a Debbie Roxx piece?
No, like, that piece, like, that show was like the first one. So
Okay.
yeah, it was just one of those, like, learning experiences.
Got it.
You know, because at that time I didn't know how to, like, price artwork or who, like, to get to buy my work and nothing like that. It was just more like, okay, I'm gonna post this here, and whoever likes it, that's great.
Got you.
So yeah, after that, I started understanding, like, okay, you gotta come prepared.
Got you. I remember I bought a piece a while ago from you.
Yeah.
I think I got it for like $10.
Yeah.
I remember
That was
that.
a big throwback.
That was a while ago. That was about 5 years ago too.
Yeah. That was when I was just started. Yeah.
I'm holding on to that piece.
Yeah, it might be worth something one day. That's the goal.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you do that show, it goes well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people are just satisfied. They're like, okay, I did the show. And then they don't know what else to do. So, like, what did you do? You just kept going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't really believe in being stagnant. I feel like there's always more we could do. Even when you feel like you're the best, there's always something more to learn. There's always a better way to do something that you do. So I'm always trying to learn. And you can learn through experience. So trying to get into more shows, trying to have my own shows, different things like that. That's all I'm always trying to do, just to participate in things. Because if people don't really get a chance to see or interact with you and they just see an artwork, it's different. When they actually get to interact with you and see what you're about and what your pieces mean, it means something different.
That's true, because I remember just really going on a tear of just doing pop-up shops and just seeing hundreds of people. And it's true, just meeting people. Like, they were like, oh, what? This was you? You know? Because for many years, I would just kind of be behind the scenes with Stereotype. I'd put it on the gram and be selling the stuff. And for a long time, people didn't even know. And I was like, maybe I should keep it this way. Maybe I should be kind of like a Banksy.
Yeah.
In a way where, like, you could kind of walk through the grocery store and no one will know who made the hat or who made that.
Yeah.
But after a while, when I started doing all the shows, people would be like, "Oh, this is you," and you'd be like, oh, "Yeah." And then people would even like call me they were like, "Is that Stereotype?" And I'm like, "No, that's." But that's cool when you really get to go out there and meet people. I think if you're trying to get your name out there, I think just going to things and shaking hands, it goes such a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people remember, you give them a card or you give them like a little. I would try to always give someone a memorable thing, like a bookmark or something custom.
I actually still have those bookmarks.
Yeah.
They're sitting right on my mirror. I still have them.
To me, and to me, I sometimes I don't really consider myself an artist. People are always like, "No, you're an artist, man."
Definitely.
But a few people would even give me a hard time. They'd be like, "Dave, you're not an artist. You're a businessman. You gave up the art." And I'm like, no, I'm trying to enable it more, But it goes such a long way just going out and meeting people. So how many shows do you think you've been able to do since you started putting it out there?
Not as much as I want to do, because I want to actually get to the point where it's like I can just simply do shows, because balancing like school, work, and then trying to make time to make it to shows, it gets a little difficult. But I've been just doing whatever I possibly can to make it to these shows.
Gotcha.
I've probably done over like close to 20 shows.
Okay.
Probably in the last like 3 years. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But I'm shooting to double that, triple that, You're
trying to double that this year? Like 40 shows? Or
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
So how many shows? That's like one a week almost.
Yeah, if I could do it, I would do it.
So where do you even create your stuff? Do you go to like the park?
No.
Do you have like a den that you do it in, or like a?
Everything is just out of my room.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like I wish I had like my own studio space, but I just learned to just work with what you have until you can get to that point. So I just turned my room around and made it into my own studio space, and that's where I create everything.
Nice.
From paintings to clothing, everything is just done in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember like the good old days of the attic, doing my stuff in the attic and then doing stuff in the basement.
Yeah.
But then, it just had the basement smell, and you can't really have like interns like, hey, come work at our business, and then you bring them to the basement.
And the smell and all
People
crazy.
like, what? People like, I remember one time there was an intern from CSI, and I was so embarrassed because I was like, all right, this is where we do my work. And then I brought them down to my basement.
Oh, man.
I'm not weird or anything, but I just felt weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm bringing this person down to my basement. But it was like the growing pain I had to feel, to be like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I can't have a regular intern if I'm doing this. And companies wouldn't be like, hey, you want more interns?
Yeah.
When they know that that's your space. So I worked my ass off to get an office. Yeah. And was fortunate to land a really cool one. But I think that's where it starts, starts at home.
Definitely. And then that little ounce of professionalism just makes a huge difference. Like a lot of people, like even as creators, we still have to have that little bit of professionalism, because at the end of the day, this becomes like our business. Like this becomes the way that we make money. So you got to carry yourself in a certain way, present yourself to people in a certain way. You don't got to fake the funk or anything, but make sure that they respect you. And even if things don't go well, you can still walk away respecting each other,
Exactly.
So that's one of like the big things I learned.
When did that hit you? Because, we always do stuff out of the love, but then it's like you love it so much, you're like, this is all I want to do.
Right.
But then the seriousness kicks in where it's like, well, maybe I can't say yes to this because it's maybe doesn't reflect my business well, or oh, I'm too busy doing this, or I got to do this because it makes maybe a little bit more to sustain to do the next thing.
Yeah.
So like, when did that kind of growing pain hit you, where it's like, all right, you're trying to take it to the next level, and you realize that you're doing it for the love, but it's also like you wanting to do it for your business? Do you kind of remember that?
It really kind of started when I started doing like commission work for people. Like I always liked to paint and do all these things and make custom clothing and things like that. And because I was such a person that I believed in everyone, I would just say, you know what, I'll create this thing for you. You can just pay me when you're done. But then I saw that started to actually backfire because people would just disappear after something was created and never pay for it or anything. So now it just started really coming down to it, like, you know what, it's deposits are a necessity, and if you don't have it, then we can't work, whether we're friends or family, anything like that. You got to respect what I'm trying to do.
No, that's real. Yeah, because I think artists sometimes something that's like you don't know you want it until you see it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you may not need it per se, but you need it like because you love it so much.
Yeah.
But then like reality hits, like, oh wait, I just asked her to do a $400 piece.
Yeah.
I have rent tomorrow, and then I have this the next day,
Yeah.
and then you kind of get the short end of the stick because you're like, you're hype, you know, as artists. When someone's like, yo, Dave, could you make me this website? I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then after, it only happened once. Someone was like, well, you know, maybe I could come back and, you know, we'll meet up again. And I'm like, come back and meet up again. I was so used to getting paid on delivery.
Yeah.
It was like, what? I feel you.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you get like paperwork, or did you just ask for the deposit before you started?
Yeah, I actually started like creating my own policies to make sure people understand, like, this is what you're signing up for. This is the agreement. So,
fair enough.
You know, so there's no surprises. Like, oh, I didn't know there was a deposit. Like, it's in bold letters. That's the first thing you see. So once I just send that out to people before they continue, like, if this is something, you know, you can't agree to or you don't like, then let's just avoid any further business. Make it easy on both of us.
Yeah, because if you think of an artist, it's not like we have, it's not like you come into our deli and we have all these little cupcakes that are pre-wrapped that we bought and then we're reselling.
Yeah.
Like when you buy a piece of art, most of the time, you know, unless it's like a print or something, but people know when it is. But if you're like, hey, could you make me this piece?
Yeah, that's
like you have
different.
to literally go in and like, and you know what's funny when people are like, well, it only took you an hour.
Yeah.
Why is it only 400? And like, I saw it today on Insta. I forgot who posted it, but they were like, you're not paying me for the hour it took. You're paying me the 30 years that it took me to get to this point.
Yeah.
Studying, practicing, leveling up to get to the point I could do it in an hour.
Yeah. Like I always think to myself, like, you gotta imagine working a regular job and someone tells you, you know what, I'm just gonna pay you like $8 an hour, even though you did all this. Like, you didn't get up, you didn't go take a break, you didn't do anything. You sat here and you did this particular thing for hours. Let's say you did it for 16 hours. I'm only gonna give you $8 for each hour, or $5 for each hour. They would complain about that. So you gotta see it from a artist standpoint, where they gotta buy their own supplies. You know, they gotta sit down and sacrifice time for something else to put into something that you require.
Exactly.
So that's how I think about it.
Yeah, you know, and it's no hard feelings. It's just, that's just business.
Yeah.
And most people get it.
Yeah, and the ones that do, like, they tend to be other creatives as well. Or, you know, they're related or affiliated with people who are creative, so they see it firsthand, so they understand it.
Yeah. It's, I remember the, like, first time a year or two ago, like, I got screwed over a few times, like twice in like the course of a month.
It's crazy.
And it was so funny because then both of those entities collaborated.
What?
I was like, what, this is so weird. But then I was like, it almost makes sense.
Yeah.
The two, you know, I won't say if they're people or business, whatever they are or whatever they were. It was just like, and it was like 2 lessons learned, and I was like I remember I went away. I went to California, and I was like Halloween, and I got an email, and the email made me so mad, and the relationship I was in, it like screwed up that day for us.
Oh, wow.
And because the girl was so mad that I kind of took the business thing so serious, and then it just didn't work out. It was like I was like, damn, you know. So like, I know how it is being a creative and like dealing with that, you know, silliness.
Yeah. Because so they think, a lot of people think that, you know, it's just art, you know, you're just making clothes, you're just painting, you're just making music. But a lot of these things reflect our own personal lives or the things that we deal with on a daily. Like, social media only allows you to see a percentage of people's lives. You only see what people allow you to see. So behind closed doors, they don't see the frustration, the stress, the, you know, the struggling to probably come up with amount of money to pay for bills, or some people are starving just like because they're so into what they do, they want to make it, they're missing meals for it. Like, they don't see that, they just see the masterpiece that comes after it.
Some real talk.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because a lot of people are always like, yo, Dave, that post, I saw it, it changed my day. They're like, you're so positive. And I'm like saying to myself, little did you know, like,
I was pissed off.
How tough of a day I had to like post that to make myself feel better.
Yeah, and that's actually how I started moving. Like, I used to be just like, you know what, anything that came to mind, I'm going to post it. But then I had to start seeing, like, you know what, someone could be angry already. Then they come on social media, they see something that adds more anger. It's not, you know. So you got to push that positive aspect, because it can only be beneficial at the end of the day. So that's what I started trying to do, is just kind of inspire and motivate people to just do the things that they love. If it's a positive thing that could be productive at the same time, and just go for it.
No, that's real. I think, you know, I always realize how blessed I am, you know, even during my tough day. It may just be me dealing with someone. Yeah. And, like, things didn't go the way I wanted, or, like, meanwhile, who am I to dictate the future completely? You know what I mean? A lot of the time it's, like, my own, I don't even know if it's insecurity or more just confusing life. Like, well, why is this? Yeah. But then, you know, it hits me like, oh, wow, I'm really not that, it's really not that bad. Right. But I know some artists, you know, that they have it tough. They have stuff they like, literally, you know, fighting through, or so, you know, I give them nothing but props. And if they say, hey, whatever, 300-400, and be like, oh, you know, like, who am I to question their pain? Yeah. You know, I have no clue. I know pain, but I don't know their pain. Right. So when I see the piece and they're like $850, and I'm like, all right, you know, like, who am I to say why? Yeah. You know, like, we kind of define our own why, especially in this game of creative vibes. But that's real. That's real. I think, what do they say? Art imitates life. You know, you get into the seriousness of things, like, you realize if you're taking something serious, you're going to hit serious moments. We're going to have to sit down with someone, or, like, talk it out, or, like, argue. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, like, it's not a perfect day. Yep. But when you're like, all right, I'm going to make this my life. Yep. You take all the baggage of that.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I first started, like, with the clothing. Like, I don't even know if you knew, but I was reaching out to so many different people, trying to learn just to get the basics of how to do simple things, get shirts printed, things like that. And no one was helping me. But then I think I reached out to you. I don't even know if you reached out to me or I reached out to you. And I had questions. And you took the time out to sit with me at Dunkin' Donuts right on Forest Avenue and really just gave me the whole blueprint. And no one, I kid you not, no one else till this day has ever done anything remotely close to that. Like, the slightest things, like reaching out to people like, hey, you know, where can I possibly get shirts, or what do you think will be a good outlet for me to get, completely ignoring messages, everything. And I'm just like, wow. You know, like, people kind of want to see you win, but not everybody wants to see you on their level or possibly doing better than they are.
Got you.
And I started realizing that the hard way, you know. So I appreciate the people that are just like, they're creatives as well, but they're also willing to help other creatives do be better at what they do, you know? That's why I always appreciate what you do.
I'm so happy to hear that. That like makes my days so much less stressful.
Yeah.
That means everything, you know, and cause it's crazy because I remember that day when I was that.
Yeah. And that's why I would always like tell another artist, like, if you have questions, don't ever feel like you can't. I don't know everything, but I know a little bit. I know how much I had to experience. I don't want another artist coming up to feel like, man, I'm in this by myself. I have nobody to rely on. You know, if everyone can have somebody that could be some kind of mentor, just that inspiration to help them along the way. So
that's so real. Yeah, I literally remember the time where I was, you know, doing the 10 shirts at a time, 20 shirts at a time vibe, and just trying to like figure shit out. And it was at the point where I was like, hold on one sec.
All right.
How's everything? Yeah, I just remember the pain. Like, it was good pain.
Yeah.
You know, like going to the gym pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like changing a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're learning, and it's like it's like hurting from learning because you're like, what's going on? Like, it's this kind of, you don't know, you know what you want to do, but it's tricky.
Yeah.
And I remember I hit the wall so many times.
Yep.
Luckily not in a car. But yeah, sometimes it felt that way though, because you know, you're like, who do I hit? Who do I reach out to? So, you know, when you reached out,
exactly.
You know, we've probably had this conversation too. It's like someone may reach out and you're like, oh, well, should I charge them to talk to them? You know what I mean? Because you take your business so serious. But I'm like, there's a lot of times where I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't even. It started not because of this money stuff. If I could help someone get that, they'll remember that forever, and that's a priceless thing. Yeah. And I'm just like, we didn't talk like, I wasn't like, hey, $80 an hour.
Yeah.
The way I do with some people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to. That's kind of my art, is helping people with their art.
True.
But I was just, to me, there's times where like people don't always, they won't hit me up because they know they don't have money to hit me. And I'm like, there's times I just want to just talk to people about it. Yeah. And I'm like, so it was like just perfect timing. Yeah. You know, you hit me up. I was like, I love it because I know a few little things. I don't know everything, but you know, one or two things, and it could help someone a lot. So. Yeah. But it's a blessing. And I think what you said about reaching out, I think that's one of the most important things, especially if you have it all together, or if you're just trying to get up there.
And I feel like that's what stops a lot of people's growth is, I guess maybe it's a sense of pride or feeling like, you know, I can do it on my own. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things we could do on our own, but sometimes it's just that little bit of information that's probably going to switch gears and probably pave the way for you to make it to the point that you needed to make it. Just that little bit of something that someone else happened to know. You know, if it's not useful now, it'll probably be useful a year from now when you really need it. Yeah.
I remember the day where someone was like, Noodles, this is where I got my hats. You should check this out. It was like some manufacturer out in Cali, and I was like, what? And I remember I bought hundreds of hats from this manufacturer, and then just getting into that game, I learned how to get into manufacturing and like people across the world that are doing this manufacturing stuff. And just, you know, being enlightened. Sometimes it's tricky because it's like you have the information. I know how people may be like, oh, well, I only know this. Right. Why should I tell someone? Right. But I definitely believe in, you know, sharing what you can. You know, you don't have to give them your playbook or your rule book. Exactly. But you could give them one or two little hints, and they could fly with that.
Right. And they'll create their own, you know, blueprint from just from that.
Exactly. And do you believe in like karma and stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just some real stuff. Like, and you know, and you don't do it for the sake of getting a return.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just this constant flow where it's like, it's crazy, Debbie. There's literally times where people like come in my office, unannounced, unplanned. I end up sitting with them like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, I don't always do that type of stuff, but I'm
Right.
like, all right, you want this? Let's try to do this, you know? And then all of a sudden, like, my phone's going off. It's like, order from California,
Oh,
order
snap.
from Ohio. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
I always say, like, I always feel like my karma's is like one day delivery sometimes.
Yeah.
And I didn't sit with that person. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit with this guy. And then these orders are going to come.
Yeah. Like, you just like,
kind
you
of
know
this
what?
net.
You're just thinking like, oh, I'm just help this person. And next thing you know, it's just like a blessing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's this natural thing. It's just so
Yeah.
cool. And I'm like, I like get out of the meeting and I have like 3 emails from. I'm like, who are these people?
That's crazy.
But I think, you know, if you know, there's so many things in the world that could kind of steer us in a evil way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it pays to be a nice person these days.
Absolutely.
You know, not even money wise, just for your soul.
Yeah.
And you wake up like, you know what, I did the right thing.
Yep.
And for me, my conscience is crazy. Like I can't lie to anyone,
Mm-hmm. You're gonna feel it.
regardless of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like, there have been times I've gotten in more trouble, Debbie, from actually telling the truth. They're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know.
And it's true, and that's just what, oh my goodness, that's my thing. Like, I tell people all the time, like, especially like people that make music or just do stuff like that, I'm like, I'm the type of person, like, I'm honest. I'm not gonna be honest in like an assaulting way, but I'm gonna be honest in a way that it should help you grow if you try to understand where I'm coming from. So I tell people all the time, like, if you make music and you want me to hear your music, unless you want to hear the truth and you want to hear some kind of constructive criticism, I'm not the best person to, you know, ask what I think about your music. I'm not going to tell you, like, oh, this is whack, but I might tell you, like, this is not the type of thing that I listen to, or, you know, this is not my style of music that, you know, I like. And some people might take that to mean that you're some kind of hater or anything, but it's like, no, it's just different people have different tastes, and some people like one thing, some people don't.
True.
Not everybody's going to like what you make. Not everybody's going to like your shirts, your paintings, your hats, you know. You just got to deal with that. But there are people out there who are going to like it. They're going to love it.
That's some real stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have like I kind of have a focus group of like 4 people that I'll show stuff to.
Yeah.
My brother, I feel like in fashion, he's always like a few years, at least 1 year ahead.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like, he told me about snapbacks
Oh, wow.
before Jay-Z said, snapback, see my cut through the brim.
Yeah.
Like on Otis.
Yeah.
Because no one was wearing snapbacks until I think that moment where like, he's like, see my cut through the brim. And my brother told me that a year before that.
Oh,
He's
wow.
like, yo, man, you should get into snapbacks. He's definitely one. Do you have someone that you kind of will show something to, like to kind of get, not approval, but
See
just to
how
kind of
they
get a
feel.
vibe from?
Yeah, I have, like, I would say probably, like, a good 3-4 people around me. Like,
Yeah.
DJ Forbes is one of them.
Word.
That's, like, my brother. Like, almost anything I do creatively, I kind of run it by him just to see. And he's just always on board with things. Like, he's, like, always just like, yo, let's do it. You got this idea. You know what? How can we make it come to life? Like, even if it sounds crazy at the time, by the time it's actually done, it was like, yo, this came out doper than I thought.
Nice.
You know? So he's one of them. And then I just have, like, some of my other, like, female friends around me. Like, I'll run something by them. They'd be like, you know what? Maybe you should change this or try this.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
I try it, you know, if it's good, I roll with it. If it's not, and we bounce ideas off each other. And then, you know, we just create.
Yeah, that's some real shit, because there are times where I do that and I know, like, okay, I'm doing this regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, for me, it's just before it goes to, like, the public sphere where, like, hundreds of people will see something and,
Yeah.
like, have to make a decision if they're going to use it or buy it or whatever,
Mhm.
or just talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have 2 or 3 that I'm like, I'll show that to. I like showing stuff to my boy Christian from Projectivity because he's like super honest. He's like the one that like, he'll be honest to the point, like he'll deliver the honesty in the way where it hurts, but it's not like he was a dick about it.
Right.
You know, some people, they'll give you feedback and it comes off a little dicky.
Yeah.
He'll just kind of hit you with some He'll be like, well, in 1934, the skeletons came in the World War. And I'm like, what? I was like, I didn't know the skeletons didn't have swords in World War One. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, he goes deep into that. I'm like, all right, well, now my mind is blown. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, you need people like that around you. People like that are a necessity. You gotta have them around you.
He's like, well, why? You know, like, he'll just hit me with some, like, social studies teacher question. I'll be like, I was like, all right, I'll come back to you tomorrow. Like, I have to do homework in a way.
Oh, man.
But, I get a good scope from those 2 people.
Yeah.
That's some real stuff right there.
Yep.
So the game is definitely a fun one with the art game.
Absolutely.
Is there any, you know, we always talk about dreams here. Is there any spot that you could see in your future? Maybe you haven't done a show, or you know, you want to be part of it. You see yourself part of something or creating something?
Well, I actually haven't even done a show in Staten Island yet. Like, I've been in a show in Snug Harbor, but like as far as like my own
Gotcha.
show or being part of like a show that's more open, I haven't done one on Staten Island, but I've done some everywhere else. But I like to bring things back home because I feel like this is where it starts.
Yep.
So this is where it should return. Everything that I do. So everything I do always starts here. So I would like to definitely do a show out here.
Gotcha.
And I know there's some creative spaces to do it. I just gotta just get in touch with these people and just make it work. And also build up my arsenal of paintings, which is currently what I'm trying to do.
Nice.
So, because it's like I'm always having ideas, not enough time to execute those ideas.
Gotcha.
But now I'm just, as much time as I can, put it into creating.
That's some real stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to do like a solo? You see yourself doing a solo show, or more like?
Either like a solo show or a show with like 2-3 artists, you know?
Gotcha.
It's something dope.
I see that.
Because there's just so many artists out here that I feel like they don't really get a chance to showcase their work. Like out here, like a lot of people are doing really dope stuff, but we don't know who they are. You know, we hear the names, but we don't get a chance to really see their stuff often. So
Yeah.
I would kind of want to like shine light on them and give them that chance to do that.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love finding, like you find the artists when they're dropping the mixtape, and then I love kind of finding them in life.
Yeah.
You know, they're already doing their thing, but like if I could have them part of a show or have them part of do something.
Yeah.
There have been people that were like, Dave, you know, Dreamer of the Month, it changed my life.
Like, that is so dope.
Like, it's just cool, you know, because I really think it's really as simple as believing in someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's like the core of it. And I think once you could believe in someone, I think, of course, we believe in ourselves, but like it helps when one person believes in you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always believe in myself, regardless of my skill or what I do or how it looks or whatever. I know I'm going to keep doing what I do.
Absolutely.
But if one person is like, yo, that shit was everything, or that shit changed my life, or whatever, that inspired me so much.
Like I've had people like reach out to me like, oh, you know, I'm just seeing you always creating. It's inspired me to pick up a paintbrush again. I'm just like, what, me? Of all people, like someone even texted me today, like, you know, I'm just checking on you because I see you grinding. I'm just so proud. You're really doing your thing. I'm just like,
there you go.
Thank you. Like, so it's just a good feeling because that's like you said, like I'm always gonna believe in myself. I'm always gonna feel like I'm capable of doing anything. Because if you got to believe that for yourself first, because if you hear it from outside, it's not going to mean the same if you don't believe it for yourself already.
Exactly.
It just adds more to it, you know, when you hear it from outside. This is like that reassurance.
I think it's just the core, you know, if you, and like thoroughly, you know, like really believing in them. And it really doesn't take much work. You don't have to take too much time out of your day. It's not like this burden,
right?
Like believing in someone.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't have to be a thing where it's like, oh, my day, I have nothing, I can't do anything now, I can't go to work because I believed in someone. Like, no,
it's free.
It's free.
Like it's literally free.
Right.
I tell people all the time, it's like, no one's, you know, you're not obligated to support or believe in what someone's doing. But if you know that you do believe in that person, show it a little bit, you know, like, you know, if they drop something, your friend dropped the track and, you know, you like it, share it, you know, like, it's cool, you know, that you bumped it, but now that you like it, share it so someone else can enjoy it, because now you're opening doors, you're introducing them to other people.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. It's like anytime my friends do something, I'm just like, even if I can't make it, I still share it, because somebody else might take interest in that thing.
That's,
you know,
it goes a really long way.
It does.
Especially, you know, sometimes, and a lot of people, like, you know, that's all I want. They don't want, I'm not saying to not buy your friend's artwork, but I'm saying that does such positive damage to someone.
It does.
That they're like, it gives them at least another year of their career.
Yeah. It really, like, seriously. Like, I'll do artwork someone, and then just, a lot of people, I'll do, like, some artwork of them. They'll never post it. They never share it, like, oh, okay, like, this is the artist. But then there's some people that I'll do something for them, and they post it, and they share it, and then it brings other people my way.
Yep.
And, like, those are people I'm just like, yeah, you don't even understand what that did for me. Like, to you, it's so small, but it just equals something so much bigger.
Yeah, that's why I always say support people before they become famous.
Yep.
Because it pays dividends across the board, you know, especially in people's hearts. You know, you give them a vibe that's rare. That's like,
and they can never forget you.
Yeah.
No matter how much they want to, it's hard to forget people that support you and show you genuine love. You can't.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's not like you could teach someone to support,
right.
but I think it's just opening your eyes to seeing someone, you know, really trying something. And it's crazy. Someone was told me the other day, they're like, Dave, you're so supportive. And they're like, my friends, they don't really even believe in what I'm doing. Like, I was like, you care so much about what you're doing.
Exactly.
That's all that matters. Like, if you wanted to be a lion, I may question you because that may be tricky because you're a human.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a way to do, you could maybe be in The Lion King on Broadway. You know, there's little things.
There's things that could be done, like, to get towards that, you know.
But so I'm just like, it matters. If it matters to you, that's all that matters.
Right.
And if I know that, I'm going to do what I can to either just say, keep going.
Exactly. Because
I may not have the answer.
Yeah.
And just being like, yo, you got this. And they're like, oh, wow, I just needed that.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I feel like. I feel like if you're doing something positive and it's something you're passionate about and you're putting the work in, you're not just one of those people that is just like, oh, yeah, I want to do this thing, but you're not putting anything into it. I'm going to support you any way I can. As much as I can, I'll try to, like, get people to hear you out, get people to check you out, and do all of that stuff. Because you're doing something positive that you care about. Now, if you're doing something that's, like, detrimental, that it could ruin my career being affiliated with that, then you gotta respect that I can't really support that. Because you're doing something that's toxic, you know?
Exactly. I say that as long as you're not hurting anyone or yourself.
Then, you know, I'm on board. You know, do your thing. That's why, I hear people say, oh, you know, everybody's rapping now. Everybody wants to make clothes. Everybody wants to do X, Y, and Z. And so if they want to do it and they're passionate about it, that's their money, their time, their energy into it, you know, let them do it.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has a different way at the end of the day of, bringing about that thing. So let them do it.
Yeah, and I feel like you gotta try one thing to get to the next thing.
Exactly.
Like for me, I tried rap. It was
Mhm.
something I did from when I was 13 to about 24.
Oh wow.
And it was everything to me.
Mhm.
Like, I literally, and I was that. And it was crazy. Through doing that, I realized, okay, maybe this isn't my calling,
Right.
but like, I could still be in the game.
Mm.
I could still have fun with it. And it like introduced me to like clothes and wanting to make stuff. So I feel like, you try one dream, you're going to learn the hard way through it.
Exactly.
If it works or not, it's still going to be hard.
Right.
But like you're going to learn something along the way that may, one, connect you to the dream that you have, or
Right.
two, to this other one that you didn't even know you thought of.
Mhm.
And then you're just, so I always say just try the dream that you have, because even in the midst of that, you may figure something else out. You may like be doing the show and then you're working behind the boards and you're like, oh wow, I actually really like being behind the boards. And then all of a sudden you're like working with Pro Show,
Yeah.
and you love what you do every weekend. And it started as you being on stage rapping,
Mhm.
but it got you to the point of being like, oh, you know what? I really like helping AC/DC. And now I'm working with AC/DC on their tour because,
Yeah.
that's how like the dreams happen.
Yeah, and that's actually how I end up diving into a lot of things that I dive into. Because I like to just try things and just develop skills. So if it's something I'm able to do, I kind of just hold on to it because it might become useful one day. Like making like the accessories. Like I started off before the paintings and all of that stuff I was making pins and all of these things. And then as I started painting more, I kind of like started putting that into like the background. But now as I'm building up a name, everyone's like, oh, what happened to the pins? Bring those back. We want those. So now it's like, oh, okay. So now I'm starting that again. I'm getting that going.
One second.
All right.
No, that's real. You jump around with dreams.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's just cool talking to someone who's on the journey,
Yeah.
who loves what they do, and who's really really made it their life.
Yep.
So it's dope to just see your evolution from that day that I saw you at that event. I got that piece
Mhm.
to our convo at Duncan.
Yeah, it's a lot of growth since then.
To now, like it's just really awesome to just talk to you and get your vibe for what matters to you.
Yes, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate you as well.
Opportunity, yes.
What would you say to someone that that maybe that you could go back to that feeling before maybe anyone kind of gave you info, or maybe you figured it out on your own?
Mhm.
You were just trying to like really launch yourself. What would you tell someone that's trying to follow a dream, but kind of maybe hitting that roadblock, or hitting where there's excuses coming in their mind? Like, what would you say to that person?
I'd probably tell them like, utilize the outlets around you. Like, don't stop thinking that you could do it. Like, you have to have that confidence and that faith in yourself that you can do this thing. This is something that you really want to do. This is something that you want to get into. You gotta just take those risks and dive into things. Do the research. There's a lot of information out there that we don't know about because we don't try to look into it. But as you're trying to learn something, if you gotta spend hours on the internet, spend hours on the internet. If you gotta go to the library, go into the library and just learn and understand these things for yourself to help you grow. If you gotta reach out to people, it doesn't hurt to take that risk. If they ignore you, then you know you tried. But if you don't do anything, you don't take that chance, you have no one to blame but yourself, because you didn't even take the chance to do something to help yourself